Hey everybody, my Jeep's making this knocking sound every time it hits a bump and all that, and this is the sound, the way to test it. Okay, I know my bumper's not loose, and what happened when I was doing this, my son got underneath and diagnosed or looked for where the problem was. Okay, right here is what we're looking at. So pay attention to that while I bounce the Jeep. Okay, so that's the culprit making the sound, and that's the reason why the shock has to be replaced. No way to change that boot out. Oh, when you have a lift kit, you have to use some extra support. 2-inch lift kit, 2-inch blocks. So you take the tire off, because you're not going to be able to get to this back bolt back here, all right, with the tire on. So you know, mechanics might have a different way of doing this, but I take the tire off as per the manual, and up on top there's a boot there and there's a boot underneath. Now this kit came with 2 more boots, okay, in the bag, so that answers the question what they're for. I also want to point out that the book says use a floor jack, hydraulic jack, to support the wheel. You need to use some kind of jack. I use a scissor jack. Works fine, a little bit more work. But you need to support the axle, because when we disconnect this, it's going to drop. You don't want that to happen. Hey, just something I want to share with you. Okay, I have to get a socket on there and a socket on this one. I was thinking, wow, that's kind of tight. Well, the failure is down here, and you can always move that over to get to it. Okay, this back one, you have to use a long 13 millimeter to get up in there, and then after a while, you're going to go to a short one, which I have right here. The top, you're going to need an extension to get up here, but when you go put the new one on, don't move the top too much, because you're going to scratch the daylights out of the paint, and you don't want to do that. So you're going to turn the bottom one to tighten it. The forward one snapped on me, so I have to go out and get screws, and I might as well just I don't know, get 4 new ones, because I'm doing the other side too. When you change one shock, you want to change the other side, otherwise the same load will be on both shocks. You don't want the new one to take all the load or put all the load on the old one. Alrighty, right there, that hole is where you can access the shock absorber, and the same thing way over there, you can see the hole where the light's coming through underneath the air filter. So which is really nice. And something over here, this Chilton manual doesn't tell you anything about, in this whole thing, it's a coil and spring shock absorber. It gives you a description of everything, but it doesn't tell you anything on how to actually remove it. It does tell you the 3 things to do, which is really good. But nothing telling you to access the top from up here, and nothing telling you which size sockets to use, and it's size 13 millimeter on the bottom, and I'm not sure about the top yet. I'm sure it's going to be the same thing though. I'll let you know. That's an extension with a 15 millimeter deep socket. Okay, and down here, what it was doing is spinning the top part of the shock. So I put a pair of vice grips up on top and have it hit on there while I'm doing it, and now I'm successfully unscrewing the top. Wow, this is what I originally, when I did this, I put these original ones in after the 2-inch lift kit. When I was installing that, I had to take this one to the mechanics because I couldn't figure out how to get the top one off, but I somehow did it with all the others. So this definitely is helpful. Once again, it's not in the book. Alright, got it off. I took off the nuts and the bushing on top. I'm pushing the vice grips down and pulling this out and pulling the whole thing out. So that's gone, that's out, and that's the thing that's missing right there. I'm going to show you this. This is top bushing, all right. It's on top of it. This, the larger of the 2 goes on top, smaller goes on top of there. So there's 2 of them. During installation, I want to put the first one down and then lock it down with the second one. So I didn't know there was, totally forgot there's 2 of them. That's the bracket for holding on to the bottom, whereas the new one see, the new one over here. Okay, put this in my chair. Has the bracket already there. So I have to go to the store and actually replace at least one of those because it snapped. So I can't put the other one back on yet. At least to both the screws back on. I'd rather put a new in. And don't know how long these shocks. I hope these shocks last the rest of my life with this Jeep. Now, if you decide to put the boot on, which is this guy, it actually protects. That's chrome plated according to the paperwork, and it stops the salt from hitting it. But you can throw some decoration on too. See that little channel that's inside there? You can see it. That little channel. This guy sits in. So on this guy over here, all right, you need to pull the shock all the way out. All right, it takes a little muscle to do that, and then you bring your boot down and place it in there, and then it goes pretty well down the shock itself to be fully extended, and it included a zip tie, so I went in and threw the zip tie onto it. All right, you're going to take your metal, concave on top, convex on the bottom. All right, we're basically a cup on top, and then this is going to go there. The really nice thing about this is there is a nut right there to grab rather than use the vice grips to hold this thing still. That's really nice, since the other one doesn't have it at all. And I had it. There's nothing up on top, nothing anywhere to put a wrench onto to hold it still. That's really cool. Well, here's something that really stinks. Okay, the old one on the left has thinner and tighter threads than the one on the right. So my nut to hold this guy down will not fit. So I have to go get another nut. That really stinks. 2 nuts for that. Alright, just got back from the local department store, and these are still 15 millimeters, same size, same 13 millimeters here on the top and on the nuts. So all the same size as far as the wrenches go. This is going on the top of the shock, with this one on top of that holding it on. This, if you could see it, I'm trying to show it, it's a little oval shaped. So it's an automotive nut. It will only go on finger tight up to about right here, and then you have to use a wrench to get it all the way up. One thing I'm going to pay attention to, because this is a bit longer, that's the most similar I could find. And it's got a little shank right there too. So I want to put this from the bottom up first to see if I see that shank, and if I do, I'm going to put a washer in it, just to give it some more space so it'll tighten down. Just something you want to be careful. You try getting the screw without the shank on it. All right, I couldn't find that in the local store. Now what I'm doing here is I have a 13-inch wrench on top, and hoping that over here is going to stop it when it starts turning. And I'm going to use a short socket. Remember, your short socket first to go on that, and then you're going to use the deep socket to get the rest of the way up. Okay, so I'm using this instead of a socket wrench because I don't want to ding the daylights out of this. I want to show you real quick how to put these on. All right, as you see, the concave is on the outside, so it's bent out. The cup is on the inside. Same thing on the bottom. Bushing on in between on each side, and then right in the middle is where it's going to go through the airframe of the vehicle. So you're going to have one on bottom, one on top. Well, that's a done deal. I will suggest something though. Before you tighten this one down, all right, stick the screw, the bolt through that one, line it up so you don't have to loosen the other one to get it on there. The top part I smashed pretty good. I think it's okay. Like I said, the book doesn't say anything about it, but I cranked that top nut down, the bottom nut, nice and good. I put the nut on top of it, and I just snugged it down. You're not going to tighten it anymore. So this is a done side. Now, one thing, when I put the tire back on, remember, you want to take your lugs. You know, I'm not a mechanic, but I do know from experience working with others and so on, and doing this for so long. When you put the tire on, go into star formation, tightening down. All right, finger tighten them, and then go into star formation, and that's the best way to do on your tires. All right, the tire is on. I tightened it down as good as I can. When I'm all done, I'm going to run around the block and then check the lugs again. Up here, because we were working up here, down that little hole right there. We crossed all this, and I did back this one off. Got to make sure everything's put back together the way it's supposed to be before you put the hood back down, okay? And I'm going to move to that side now and work on that, but you don't need to see it. All the shocks are principally the same. Something I want to check out, though, is in the front, if the right side over here is higher than the left, and I think it is, because it's got the new shock in there. You can see the headlights, one's higher than the, oh, that side's higher than this side over here. That's why you gotta, when you change the shock out, you need to do it to both sides. Hope you like the video. Subscribe if you want to see more. I got all sorts of different stuff, not just automotive.